Okay. Svetlana, are you doing the translation? Okay, so I can speak fast. Okay, let's go ahead and do our refuge and mandala and refuge. Lydia, can you do one more time the mandala for us, please?
Of course, Вот огромная земля, наполненная ароматами благовоний, крытая покрывалом из цветов, великая гора, 4 континента, украшенные драгоценными камнями, солнцем и луной. В своем сознании я вижу их Будды и подношу их все тебе, и с этим деянием каждое живое существо ощутит чистый мир. Идам Гуру Ватнама Далкам Плятаяни.
Thank you, and let's have Svetlana from Finland do refuge.
Да, здравствуйте, драгоценный учитель, здравствуйте все участники. Иду в прибежище Будды, Дharмы, Санги, что просветление достичь. И сила добрых дел, таких как щедрости других, позволит мне состояние Будды обрести на благо каждого живого существа. Иду в прибежище Будды, Дharмы, Санги, что просветление достичь. И сила добрых дел, таких как щедрости других, позволит всем участникам курса к просветлению прийти на благо каждого живого существа. Иду в прибежище Будды, Дharмы, Санги, то просветление достичь. И силы добрых дел, такие как щедрость и других, позволят всем живым существам во всех мирах к просветлению прийти на благо каждого живого существа.
Excellent, thank you. Let's start our rejoicing with Svetlana from Finland.
Светлана номер 2. Спасибо. У меня радость такого порядка. Сегодня приезжал в гости мой сын к нам на дачу. И это было такое вот совместное семейное занятие по даче. Он помогал нам. Потом я готовила обед, потом делала пирог. Это все в таком состоянии женских энергий, такой материнской энергии, богини. Я сегодня провела этот день. Это очень трепетно. Он редко, у него получается приехать. Это прям очень радостно. И я желаю, чтобы у всех была возможность соединяться с близкими, быть с ними рядом.
Very good. Very good. Well, I'm glad that worked out so well. That sounds. What kind of pie?
Пирог без глютена, он с ревнем. Не знаю, знаете ли вы все ревень?
Apples? Rhubarb.
Я не знаю.
Rhubarb. Rhubarb. Strawberry rhubarb pie is one of my favorite pies. Wow. Nice. Okay. Who
Я
else
буду знать,
needs
что
to
вы любите
rejoice?
ревень.
Well, when I come to Finland, we'll have to have rhubarb pie. Okay, let's see. Oksana and Dmitry have done wonderful things. Go ahead and rejoice for us, please.
Доброе утро, Лама Сумати, и добрый вечер все участники. Потрясающая вещь. Но вчера нам посчастливилось, и нам выпала еще возможность помочь еще ребятам оплатить Малайзию, ну, сделать платежи. Вот, мы этому очень радовались вчера, что закрыли несколько вопросов, ну, проблем с оплатой.
Dmitry, how about you?
Вечер всем. Здравствуйте вам, Сумати. Мы вчера ездили еще вчера в магазин, купили нашей маме, у нас мама огородница со стажем, вот, мы ей купили некоторых там удобрений, вот, и теперь мы ее загнать не можем домой, она у нас до ночи в огороде, вот, но зато счастлива.
Very good. Very good. That's wonderful. Okay. Anna Boyko, what do you have to rejoice in?
Здравствуйте. Я хотела бы, наверное, сказать, что сегодня я помогла больным людям, которые в этом нуждались. Вот. И еще я вчера была очень удивлена вашим заданием по поводу написать шутку о болезни Паркинсона. Вот я в таком недоумении ходила долго, но я написала все равно. И я вам очень благодарна, потому что до меня дошло, почему мне надо было это сделать. Что я вспоминала тоже Майкла Роуча, когда он говорил, что настоящий буддист — это веселый буддист.
Okay, what's your joke?
Там шутка была, что жена подходит сзади к мужу, и у него получилась абстрактная картина очень, и она восхищается, говорит: «Боже, какие линии, какая прекрасная картина! Ты просто гений вообще!» И он говорит: «Ты знаешь, я хотел целый час пытался нарисовать круг, но теперь благодаря тебе я понимаю, насколько я гениален».
Very good. Very good. It sounds like you've seen me trying to write my name. Okay. Very good. Okay, let's go with Zana. What do you have to rejoice in?
Вы знаете, продолжение, доброго всем времени суток, продолжение шутки предыдущей. Я была на арт-терапии, и рисунок очень похож к шутке. Как попытка нарисовать круг. Я хочу порадоваться тому, что сегодня перед занятием я смогла сделать полный комплекс леди Нигумы. Радуюсь тому, что сегодня у меня получился хороший семейный день. Мы вместе с семьей провели день вместе. Также вчера у меня был мастер-класс, где мы вместе с ароматерапевтом работали с женщинами, которые к нам пришли, и мы учились создавать вместе ресурсное состояние. Это тоже было очень, очень классный мастер-класс получился, и я радуюсь, что благодаря этому удалось помочь другим людям. Вот. А еще у меня вчера взошло очень много классных зерен соединения. Я вчера встретилась с своей коллегой, с которой не виделась 15 лет. Она была в городе, и я приехала к ней навстречу, а потом я увиделась после этого своей карма-партнером, которая с Украины, но живет сейчас в Таиланде и приехала сейчас на Украину. И так все зашло, что я смогла вчера с ней увидеться. Поэтому я очень радуюсь всем событиям, которые произошли за последние 2 дня моей жизни. И я, к сожалению, вчера не была на занятии вечернем, но я думала, я читала шутки, которые писали в чате, И я подумала о том, что это невероятно относиться к своей болезни шуточно. У меня был опыт онкологии, и я сейчас помогаю другим женщинам и веду группу поддержки по онкологии, где мы работаем по 4 шагам по здоровью. И я думаю, что завтра у нас будет встреча, и мы тоже подумаем о шутке, которую можно сказать о нашей болезни. Я благодарю вас за это задание.
No, it's if you can't have a sense of humor about most things. I mean, there are certain things it's inappropriate to have a sense of humor about, but it's allowed me to not be climbing the walls. Let's see, where'd Yuri go? Yuri, there he is. Yuri, do you have something to rejoice in?
I'm very happy to be here with all people. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anastasia, you have something to rejoice in?
Добрый день, добрый вечер всем. Я рада всех видеть. Сегодня я хочу порадоваться тому, что я встретилась сегодня со своей знакомой. Мы здорово провели время, прогулялись. У нее достаточно непростая эта семейная ситуация. Я ее поддержала, посочувствовала и сделала мысленно ей танглен, чтобы все у нее легко и удачно сложилось. Но я заметила, что ей стало легче после того, как она проговорилась и выговорилась.
Good. Well, I'm so glad everybody's supporting and helping others. That's the whole point of the death meditation, is the whole point of Buddhism, helping others be happy and help them get to the final point, end point properly. So let's go with Valerie. Did I pronounce that correctly? Yeah. What do you have to rejoice in?
Да, добрый день всем. Ну, у меня вообще прекрасные новости. Я сегодня нарвал черешень, вот, и пока шел к своему дому, то я поделился черешнями, вот, с многими, ну, как, там дети гуляли, знакомые, вот, поэтому пока донес, ну, себе оставил немного, но и поделился черешнями с другими. Вот, поэтому вот так.
Very good. Very good. Those is all very, very sweet. Let's go with Elizabeth Nazarova.
Здравствуйте. Я не ожидала. Спасибо, что выбрали. У меня сегодня хороший день. Я сегодня встречалась с кинологом, чтобы дрессировать маленькую собачку, которую отдали мне на передержку, но так как хозяева новые не нашлись пока что, мне приходится ее усмирять. Вот. Спасибо за возможность поделиться.
You're welcome. Your picture looks like you're having a bad day. So, okay, who else here? Oh, so many of the names are in Cyrillic. Well, let's get on with class. Okay. So lots to consider when somebody's dying or close to death or dies accidentally. So I want to share what I call a peace of mind and consideration of others. The story of my in-laws. My wife's parents were, next to her, my best friends. They were wonderful, wonderful people. And one day we heard that they passed away in a plane crash, a private plane. We'd flown for hours with them, felt completely safe, and they went into the water off the coast of California and they never recovered their bodies. So we got this news, and my wife immediately got a ticket and flew out to Southern California to be with her siblings as they tried to figure out what to do next. And they got into the house, and there was a 3-ring binder sitting on the kitchen table. And they opened, and some keys. And they opened the binder, and there was a list in her mom's handwriting that listed out everything they needed to think about, where the wills were, what insurance policies they had, what bills were going to need to be paid because they were coming up and would have to be paid by credit card or somehow. And that was so thoughtful for them to think of. Here the kids, the 5 children, are obviously distressed with their mothers and father dying so accidentally, so suddenly. And yet the parents had the consideration to set things up with that binder. So in this time of stress, the children knew what to do. It was extraordinary. So peace of mind. So you're dying. When I roll my truck, as I said earlier, I wasn't thinking about what I hadn't done. I was thinking about what I had done, and positively. So organize the very things you have been worried about when you die. So, for instance, who's going to know what's the password to your computer? Does someone know that? What do you want done with boxes and boxes of research material for the books you've written? Well, instead of leaving those for my wife to take care of, I've donated almost all of my research material to archives, Air Force facilities, because I don't want to be thinking the last thoughts in my life of, oh, what's she going to do with those 60 boxes? I've burdened her with something she's going to have to wrestle with. Instead, it's she doesn't have to worry about that. What else? Well, obviously the bank accounts and things. Understand your government's rules for wills. In our country, if you don't have a will, the government gets the money, the state gets the money that's remaining in your bank accounts. So if you don't want that to happen, I certainly don't want that to happen with whatever money I have left. So make sure you understand the rules of having a will. And I strongly encourage all of you, unless you're 7 years old, to pursue and put together a will, even if it costs a little bit of money. That way, when you die, you won't be thinking, oh, I wish this, I wish that, I wish this person got what I want them to get, I hope they do. You don't want those kind of thoughts on your mind. And having a will means that that's all been taken care of. Now, whether they follow the will is irrelevant. You're dead. You're on to your next life. It doesn't matter, to you anyway. In our country, every few years the will has to be updated. So make sure you do that. Now this is going to cost some money, but as an investment for other people's and your peace of mind, it's worth every penny, in my opinion. Computer's personal effects not covered in your will. Who's going to get your car? Who's going to get the house or the apartment? All those kind of things. Now, when you have 4 or 5 children, there could be arguments and bickering between the kids. So you put in your will, if anybody contests this will, they don't get a thing. That stops the arguments. One of the interesting things that happened with my wife's family, her dad had a 1963 Corvette, Chevrolet Corvette, a very nice, very fancy, very fast, high-powered sports car. And each of the children had been given an opportunity to have the vehicle, and each of them returned it to their father because it was too expensive to run. It finally came to rest when they passed. The will said that the youngest of the family, Anne, would get the Corvette. And several of the brothers thought that wasn't fair, and then remembered that anybody who contested the will wouldn't get anything. So that settled the argument. It made everything go very smoothly. It seems like maybe it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen for a long time. I have plenty of time. It's like your practice. If you don't get started on your practice now, you won't get started tomorrow. You won't get started the next day. And you're going to end up at death going, oh man, I wish I'd started my practice. So I think that's the major point of peace of mind. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, did Svetlana, did they get the handout with the instructions from Ken Rinpoche? Okay. Well, let's share it in English for those that can understand it in English. Okay, please do that. So do I have to turn off my sharing? No. Share it. Just send it to him by email. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Serene, I just saw your note in the chat. I'm so sorry about your uncle, but I'm glad I was able to help.
Thank you, Venerable Sumati.
Okay. What to do? I'm going to change my sharing. And I'm going to go to here. Share. I don't think that worked. Hang on a minute. I want to change screens. Stop share. Okay, now let's see if I can do this. Share. Oh, screen one. Okay. Okay. So this is help for all of you from Ken Rinpoche, Geshe Michael's Heart Lama, and it goes over several points, aspects of what to do when someone dies. So as the person's dying, you want to be as calm as possible. You don't want a lot of people crying and being upset that they're dying, because that's not good for the person who is dying. That you don't want the person who's dying to be longing for their, like, oh, I don't want to die, I'm going to miss my wife, that kind of thing. You want them to be thinking about where they're going next and what they can do to help all beings. So let's scroll through this. It's important not to touch the body until the person is actually dead. And how do you know that? Well, there are indications here. Certain liquids come out of the nostrils of the person's nose and also from their lower parts. When these are released, the person is actually dead. I really strongly urge you read this very carefully. For instance, we're going to be organ donors. It's a very good thing if one can make this final act of charity with their body. It should, however, be done out of a motivation of wanting to give and not for any kind of profit. So we're donating our organs. Now I'm going to be 73 plus years old, so I'm not sure who wants anything of mine. I have cataract surgeries. I don't think they want my eyes. My kidneys aren't in very good shape. My heart's 73 years old, and I can transplant that. But the point is, if there's something that can be used for another human being or beings from my now dead body, I want to give it. I want that person to have it. What is the Buddhist position on mercy killing? it's very wrong to turn off a life support system or to take any similar kind of action. Abortion, not straightforward. What particular prayers or rituals can be held to help the dead person? My wife reads the Tibetan verses from the Tibetan Book of the Dead for people who have passed away. Are there particularly effective prayers that can be read around the person as he actually dies? If the person has received the necessary initiations, it's very good if you recite calmly and clearly the Dake ritual used in the secret teachings of Vajragini or the 6-session prayer. For me, I'm a devotee of White Tara, so the important thing for my wife to do or someone else would be to read the White Tara sadhana to me. What kind of funeral arrangement is best for a Buddhist? We're going to be cremated. So read through that, and if you're so inclined, make sure that other people, well, for instance, we have a directive with our living will kind of things with the hospital when we go in for surgery, that they know who to contact and what to do if we pass away. So the whole point, in my my experience with my in-laws, with my wife and her brothers and sister, and their parents' death, was think ahead like her parents did, and make the transition as simple and as easy as possible. And I repeat, it's, if you're 25, 30 years old, you probably don't think, I don't have to worry about this. But that's the point. If you do something, make a will, etc., you don't have to worry about it because it's taken care of. Okay. If anybody has questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them for you now. No questions? There we go. Okay, sure. Now, when you commit, Okay, when you kill yourself, your body stops, obviously, but your karma continues, and that the mind stream doesn't die with the body. The mind stream continues on, and the karma for killing yourself or killing is basically the same as killing someone else. Is you stop the possibility of reaching enlightenment in that lifetime. It's quite possible if you had waited another day that you would have seen emptiness directly. So by killing yourself, you deprive yourself of the possibility of enlightenment. And that's a pretty heavy karma to continue with down to your next lives. So I have something I need to consider as my Parkinson's gets worse, as I become more of a burden to my wife and caretakers. What about the quality of life? So I'm going to have to think pretty carefully about this. And I'm going to talk to Geshe Michael and find out what he suggests. I'm not thinking about suicide, if anybody's worried about that. I'm not. Because suicide is a very bad thing from a Buddhist perspective. So when if you commit suicide, that's a very heavy bad karma that's going to affect you in your future lives. You certainly don't get rid of any karma. You made a massive bad karma. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a very very good question, and something you have to be delicate, because when you say, "Do you have a will?" someone's going to go, "Well, what do you want?" And that's not the point of the question. So I would approach it perhaps along this way. I've received some information from a teacher that I respect about the need to be sure that my loved ones have the easiest transition when I die that's possible. So I'm going to go get my will in order. And I'm just curious, because I want only the best for you. Do you have a will? And then the end of that, don't say, am I in it? Don't worry about that. Just, do you have a will so that your wishes are fulfilled after you die? And then take the conversation from wherever that goes. But if you start with saying, do you have a will? They're obviously potentially could wonder why you want to know. Does that help?
Спасибо. Слышно меня? Да. Ну, у тети есть завещание, но она сейчас, я знаю, что на меня завещание, но вот как бы спросить пароли, где лежат у нее документы, Я вот как-то не решаюсь.
No, yes, that's a tough one. If those are in the will, you're covered. If they aren't, I don't know how to convince somebody to give that information. It's a matter of trust, and it's a lot of it. But again, so you're faced with that problem with your aunt. How are you going to solve that problem for your family, your kids? I don't necessarily have any suggestion. Just you need to figure out some way to make the information secure. My wife knows that all of my passwords and all the things to the various programs and things that bank accounts is all in a couple of pages under a particular heading in my file cabinet.
Мгм.
That's just the passwords. The wills, I have no idea. I know the wills are. I don't really know how to. I would just suggest that she write them down and in the will say where they are. That's about all you can do.
Мгм.
And if she doesn't trust you with that, then so whatever you do, you've done the best you can. And so you know that you tried to help the best you can. And that's half the battle when you're helping, supporting, or trying to make someone happy or take away their suffering. If you've done the best you can and you haven't succeeded, then either try harder or accept the fact that you don't know what they need.
Мгм. Мгм.
Anybody else? Okay.
Holy Lama, may I ask? Would you please give more details why we shouldn't touch a person until he, let's say, finally died?
Well, according to Ken Rinpoche, let's go back up here. You don't want the mind to leave the body from the lower part of the body because that can lead to birth in the hell realms or one of the lower realms. If we touch the upper part of the body, it's better. And if you touch the center of the top of the head, that's the best. But you should avoid touching the body at all until the signs of final death have occurred. A lot of this is inexplicable to traditional Western thought process. So I just have accepted it, and that's what I'll do when my lovely wife leaves. That help?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, what's next? Right. Yes, you have to follow the legal situation. Now, what we did at Diamond Mountain is we checked to make sure in Cochise County that it's okay to have a sky burial, and it is. But yes, you need to follow the rules. If they're going to, if the wishes are to cremate the body, that usually will happen several days, or if there's police investigation, it may be longer. It's not a simple. It's simple in the sense you have to follow the laws. Hopefully, I'm going to pass away from natural causes, and the police won't be involved in the sense of having to investigate what happened to me. Oh, well, good for her. Good. You won't be around to know, I guess. But yeah, if you don't mind, what are you going to have on your headstone?
Добрый день. Ну, я человек с юмором. Я решила, что у меня будет написано «Всем чмоки, скоро увидимся».
That's that's very good. Well, I've told all my students at one time or another that I'm going to be the first person that's going to be able to get back to them as to what happens next. So keep posted. Now, one thing my wife and I like to do is we like to look for angel signs. And angel signs, for instance, let me see if I can remember this. They were looking for a house with a good friend and student of mine, Carlos, and his wife, Aida. And they found a house that was it was 4256, which are our birthday, month and day. And that was a sign that they should buy that house. They liked it for other reasons, but that was a sign. I know something. Are any of you curious why we do everything to the left in the death meditation? We open the doors to the left. No, you're not curious? Well, then I won't tell you. Oh, I'll tell you. In Tantra, you do everything to the left. Since most of us are right-handed, you do everything to the left. Now, if you're left-handed, I think you're supposed to do everything to the right. So, we have a circular part of our drive to get into the community. And so when we leave or we come in, we always turn to the left and go up the street instead of turning to the right. It's little things like that, but it makes a difference.
I'm sorry, there are two questions in the chat, and these people raised their hands. Anna Boyko and Lydia Karpova. Anna Boyko has a question.
Yeah, okay.
Dear Lama Sumati, may I ask? I wrote in the chat, but I will ask: how can we help people who are dying? For example, my parents in the future, and they are not Buddhists.
Well, you need to convert them. I'm kidding. I think what I would do in that case, Lydia, is simply sit down with them. Now, this is talking about the will and those kind of things, or what are you worried about?
For example, if I will be with them at that time, what should I do?
Oh, I see. Okay. You should encourage, this is my advice, my version of what a Buddhist should do. Not Geshe Michael's by any means, or Ken Rinpoche's. I wasn't able to be with my dad when he passed, or my mom. I would say how much you loved them, how much you appreciated everything they did for you. Not crying, not laughing, but just calmly saying, thank you for being such wonderful parents. And don't say we'll miss you, because that's a negative. Yeah, I think you just have to say how much you loved them, how much you enjoyed their how they brought you up. It's hard to project what you'll feel at that moment. I think if I'm in that situation with my wife, I'm going to tell her how proud I am of her. That she was a role model for me to follow. Things like that. Positive, appreciative things that when they hear will boost their state of mind instead of depress them. I could say, what am I going to do? You're not going to be around. Well, that's really helping, because now she's going to be upset that I'm upset. So positive, appreciative things. And even if you didn't get along with your parents or don't get along with them now, thank them for being your parents. And that's a very positive thing, I think, for them to hear. Does that help any?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Здравствуйте, а можно мне сейчас говорить?
I'm sorry, Areta, can Anna Boyka ask your question? Then we will turn to the chat question, okay?
Okay, go ahead, Anna.
Я бы хотела вас спросить, как можно себя натренировать для вот этого последнего момента смерти? Потому что я бы хотела тоже быть натренированной, как и вы.
Oh, well, the meditation, death meditation, stresses to have positive. So you're dying. This is what I plan to do. It's what I did in the truck. First of all, I thought to myself, it's about to happen, and I didn't have on my mind. So let me back up. For a long time, I would think I didn't return those frames to Jim Delwich. Seems very trivial, but it kept coming up in my mind. And I thought, now that I took the death meditation, I don't want to have that I owe somebody something in one of my last thoughts. So I just sent them off. So I don't worry about that anymore. When you leave your house, if you have a loved one, don't leave your house angry. We're not supposed to be angry at anybody anyway, because we don't know who's a bodhisattva, and it's terrible to be angry at the bodhisattva. But when the truck was rolling, my first thought was not I'm going to miss my wife or anything like that. My first thought was I'm going to know what's coming next. Finally, I'm going to have an answer. Now, I didn't say to myself, but I can't tell anybody. But I was curious about what's coming next. That's probably the bulk of my training, was to have a curiosity about what's coming next. Well, there's a famous quote from Geshe Chikawa, and he says, I want to be going down to the hell realms to help all the beings in the hell realms become enlightened. But wait, it's not happening. I'm going to the clear light. There is a process called POA, which I'm not very familiar with. That's a training, but that takes a considerable amount of meditative practice and continued practice. I'm not qualified to teach POA. That's not a very clear answer. I'm sorry, Anna, but knowing that my wife knows that I love her, knowing that I've told her where the relatively important passwords are, knowing that I didn't leave her a burden of 50 plus boxes of research material, knowing that I've organized where all the remaining material should be sent to or given to, then I know that the burden I'm giving her is trivial. There's no burden. I've made it very simple for her. So that's relieved her of the stress of not knowing what to do. And that's the way I figure the best thing I could do when I reach that point. Does that help any?
Да, да, помогает, но у меня еще тогда вопросы возникают. Очень много. Просто, например, мы же не всегда умираем в таком спокойствии. Бывает, что у человека дико боль, например, и он не может в этот момент думать ни о чем другом, кроме о боли. Или там у него спутанное сознание, он там, не знаю, под морфином находится, да, например. Вот как тогда?
Boy, that's a very good question. Let me talk to the Oracle, my wife, and see what her advice is. Let me, with your permission, if Svetlana can give me your email, I will send you what I find out. Is that possible, Svetlana? Okay. If any of you have questions, please write me. If all 50 of you write me, it's going to take me a while to answer, but I'll answer as quickly as I can. Okay, there was somebody, Areta, there was somebody else. Okay.
Алексей.
Да, дорогой лама Сумати, у меня такой вопрос. У меня есть песок с разрушенной мандалой Гухи Самаджи, и мне в буддийском центре сказали, что когда живое существо умирает, человек или животное, то можно посыпать этот песок на макушку, чтобы помочь сознанию попасть в высшие сферы. То есть как это технически правильно сделать, нужно ли какую-то молитву при этом читать, и на макушку ли нужно сыпать этот песок, либо на сердечную чакру. Расскажите, пожалуйста, если знаете.
Please send me an email with your specific questions, and I will give you specific answers. So if you can give,
Спасибо.
please send me your questions, and I will talk with my wife, who's much more experienced with this, and get you the answers you need. Oh, yeah. Well, that's a very good question, and I found very little detailed information about that, except that Jason Kappa says rejoicing is the best way to gain the merit, multitudes of merit necessary to become enlightened. Rejoicing in others' good deeds is even more powerful. In the Lamrim Chenmo, it talks about rejoicing for someone's good deed that's a lesser spiritual level than you, and you get twice the merit. If they're the same level as you get the same merit. If they're rejoicing in someone's duty, good deeds that are higher than you get half the merit. But I don't understand how rejoicing gets you the merit. The actual specifics of it. Do you have a copy of the Lamrim Chenmo? Whoever asked the question.
Да, у меня есть копия.
You do? Okay. Look up rejoicing. Let me see if I can quickly find you the actual quote. Let me finish sharing. Let's see. Let me think about. You're asking what good it is for the people rejoicing about. Well, that's another good question. Our rejoicing is basically helping us with feeling positive, worthwhile thoughts about others, not being jealous, etc. Rejoicing is the opposite of jealousy. And so if you can rejoice, when I see all of you rejoice, that makes me be interested in rejoicing even more. Because I see you all thinking positive thoughts about someone else's deeds, and that's the kind of positive attitude a good Buddhist has. Now, the specific benefit to the other person rejoicing about them, I would say if someone's rejoicing in something I've done, then I must have done something good, and I can rejoice, and they're rejoicing in my rejoicing. If that makes sense. Let me go to. It's going to take a while. Let me see. Where can I find that? Do you have the full set of Lamrim Chenmo from either Ken Rinpoche?
Да.
Yes. Okay. If you'll give me, if I can have your email, I will send you a scan of all of the 3 volumes that's been optically character recognized, and you can do a search for rejoicing and find the various parts of the Lamrim Chenmo that talk about that. Does that make sense?
Мгм.
Yeah. Okay.
Хорошо.
And that's not violating any copyright because, as I understand it, because you purchased the book, you paid for the book, the author's gotten whatever, and the publisher received whatever they should receive. So you're having a scan of it now, provided you don't give that scan to someone who doesn't have. That's why I asked. If you have it, I can give you the scan. If you don't have it, I can't.
У
Okay.
меня есть, у меня есть полностью Ламрим Чонмо на русском языке.
Oh, well then just look up rejoicing and just do a word search for
Я
rejoicing.
посмотрю.
Yeah. Okay, I don't need to send you it in English. You have it in Russian. Good.
Да, спасибо.
Anastasia
Меня
Komenko, you're on a swing? Well, I'll take that as a yes. Any other questions? Hi, Anna. I hope so. Okay. That's something I haven't done in a long time. I should go out and find a swing and swing on it. That's a very good idea. Okay. Any other questions? Fire away.
There is one question in the chat from Katerina Gapon.
Okay. I don't know the answer to that. I will ask my wife. And then I'm going to need your email to get you the answer. So if Svetlana, if you can get me her email also, I'd appreciate it. So anybody who I'm going to answer, what would help me tremendously is if you would email me the questions, because I'm not going to remember all the questions. So go ahead and give my email to those students also, and you can send me your questions and I will get answers as quickly as I can. So thank you ahead of time, Svetlana, for taking care of this for me. Okay. Well, I hope this weekend was of value, and I enjoyed the possibility, the opportunity to share some of my thoughts with you. I liked the joke. That was a great joke. And thank you for appreciating my approach with a sense of humor. It's not making light of anybody's illness. Now, I will say this. I've had friends that come up to me and make a joke about my Parkinson's specifically. And that borders on the offensive, because if you don't have Parkinson's, you don't really understand the tremor and stuff. Now, when I asked to write a joke, that's different. And I do appreciate, I'm going to add that joke to my repertoire. I think that was a pretty good joke. And I like the visual aid that came in afterwards. That was great. So Zana, that was your joke, right? Or you had whose joke was it? Anybody? I want to give credit to the...
Наверное, была я.
Okay. Anna Boyko. You're from Russia or Ukraine or where?
Я живу в Швеции.
Excuse me?
I live in Sweden.
Sweden? Oh,
Yes.
my goodness. Wow. Okay. So Anna Boyko from Sweden made this Parkinson's joke, which I really liked. Okay. You can have international credit for a Parkinson's joke. Unless you don't want me to give your name.
There is no problem to mention.
Okay. Goody. Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity for this weekend. I've enjoyed getting to know many of you better. I look forward to teaching you in the future. And please follow my advice about preparing your situation for your loved ones so that they aren't stressed and you aren't stressed when the inevitable happens. Okay. Let's dedicate this to let's see. In all my lives, may I never live apart from my perfect lamas. May I bask in the glory of the Dharma. May I fulfill perfectly every level and path and reach then quickly the place where I become the one who holds the diamond. May the precious Buddha mind not yet born and grow and may that born have no decline. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, dear Lama Sumati, for these teachings. Thank you.
You're very
Please,
welcome.
Thank you very
Thank
Thank you
you,
very
Lama
much.
Sumati.
Thank
Спасибо
you. Please
большое.
stay with us.
Thank you very
yes.
much.
Спасибо большое, дорогой лама. Оставайся всегда с нами.
Well, I'll see some of you in Armenia. I'm looking forward to that. Okay. Bye-bye.
Спасибо огромное переводчикам. Спасибо.